Hey everybody, and welcome to another deep dive. Today, we are tackling a creature I bet you have some strong opinions about, even if you haven't given them much thought. Raccoons.
Yes.
Those masked bandits.
Yeah.
You know, the ones who love a good midnight buffet, courtesy of your trash cans.
Exactly.
But now, we're going beyond those late night encounters.
Okay.
We're going deep with a YouTube video called 13 Facts About Raccoons. The Little Masked Bandits.
Okay.
From the channel TheraPlanet, to really get to know these guys.
Awesome.
You ready to see raccoons in a whole new light?
I am, absolutely. It's easy to just dismiss raccoons as just pesky critters.
Right.
When you look closer, their story is one of incredible adaptability and intelligence. A species that's not only survived, but thrived alongside human expansion.
That's what I'm so excited to unpack today.
Yes,
Okay, sure, we've all seen them rummaging around, but how smart are they really? The video claims they're as smart as toddlers. I mean, come on, is that just hyperbole?
Well, it's not that simple. While toddler intelligence might sound funny, the mammal IQ scale actually puts raccoons surprisingly high, in a similar range as domestic cats. But it's not just about solving a puzzle for a treat. Raccoons demonstrate what we call evolving intelligence.
Okay, so what does evolving intelligence mean for a raccoon?
It means they're not just relying on instinct. They learn from each other, they remember solutions to problems, and adapt their behavior based on experience.
Wow.
There's a documented case of raccoons in Toronto learning to open complex garbage bins, and that knowledge spread through the entire population.
What?
So yeah, they're figuring things out all the time.
That's wild. It makes those trash can raids seem a lot more calculated now. Speaking of calculated, have you seen their little hands? They're practically miniature human hands.
I know.
The video emphasizes how they have 5 fingers, just like us.
It's amazing. And those fingers aren't just for show. That dexterity is directly linked to their problem-solving abilities, opening latches, manipulating objects, even picking up dimes.
Get out of here.
They've been observed doing all of this. Imagine the kind of trouble they could get into if they figured out opposable thumbs.
Don't even joke about that. Now, one thing that always makes me laugh is the whole trash panda nickname.
Yeah.
I mean, they're adorable.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't exactly call them clean, right?
That's where things get really interesting. They have this reputation for being dirty because we see them in less than sanitary environments. But raccoons are actually quite hygienic animals.
Really?
The video highlights how they often wash their food and water before eating, and they're meticulous about burying their waste.
So they're like germaphobes who just happen to love digging through our garbage.
Well, not quite germaphobes, but their cleanliness definitely challenges our assumptions.
That's so funny.
It's a reminder that there's often more to animal behavior than meets the eye.
Oh, that totally changes my perspective. Speaking of seeing things differently, those iconic black masks, they've got to be for more than just looking cool.
Right. You're absolutely right. There are a couple of fascinating theories about why raccoons have those masks. One theory is that the dark fur around their eyes acts like built-in sunglasses.
Okay, that makes sense. They're nocturnal, so they need good night vision.
Exactly. But those dark patches might also help reduce glare during the day, especially when they're active near water. It's like nature's anti-glare technology.
Right.
Way before we even thought of it.
Pretty impressive. But the video also mentions another theory, that the masks could be about hiding their eyes from predators.
Right.
Almost like camouflage, for their most vulnerable feature.
That's the other thought. It might not be the primary function, but it certainly adds another layer of protection. And speaking of protection, don't let their cuddly appearance fool you. These guys are surprisingly athletic.
Oh yeah, I've seen them darting around, the video mentions. They can run up to 15 miles per hour.
That's fast. And they're agile climbers too, scaling trees and fences with ease. Plus, they're surprisingly good swimmers.
Wow.
They've adapted to be quick and efficient, which makes them even more effective scavengers.
So basically, they're like tiny ninjas with a talent for getting into trouble.
Pretty much. And don't forget, they're not just silent ninjas either.
Oh.
They're actually quite chatty.
Really? I always thought they were pretty quiet. Besides the occasional hissing or growling, I haven't heard much from them.
That's because they have a whole vocabulary we often miss. The video claims raccoons have over 50 distinct vocalizations.
They hiss.
Purr, growl, chirp, even squeal.
No way.
It's a whole symphony of raccoon communication going on.
I never realized there was so much going on behind those little masks. They're like walking, talking mysteries.
And we're just scratching the surface. But one thing is for sure, Raccoons have adapted incredibly well to living alongside humans, even thriving in places we wouldn't expect.
That's what fascinates me the most. We usually think of human expansion as detrimental to wildlife, but raccoons seem to have cracked the code.
It's true. While many species struggle, raccoons have not only adapted, but flourished in rural, urban, and suburban environments. It makes you wonder, are they benefiting from us? Or are they just really good at exploiting the situation?
That's a great question, and it makes me think, are we underestimating their intelligence? Are we just seeing the tip of the raccoon iceberg?
Maybe we are. And perhaps that's why they're so successful. They're adaptable, intelligent, and resourceful qualities that have allowed them to thrive in a world increasingly shaped by humans.
Well, I'm definitely seeing raccoons in a whole new light now. They're not just those masked bandits we see rummaging through our trash. There's a whole lot more to them than meets the eye.
Absolutely. And that's what makes them so fascinating to study.
And that's what makes this deep dive so much fun. Stay tuned, because we're about to delve even deeper into the lives of these masked marvels. Welcome back to our Raccoon Deep Dive. We're getting up close and personal with these masked bandits. And honestly, I'm kind of blown away by how much there is to learn. We've talked about their surprising cleanliness and those clever little hands.
Oh, yeah.
But what about their other senses? The video mentions they have a keen sense of smell.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's super important. But
Yeah.
how does that play into their raccoon lives?
Well, I mean,
Tell you-
it's got to be crucial for them.
Yeah, it is. Especially since they're primarily nocturnal. It helps them navigate their surroundings in the dark, locate food sources, and even communicate with each other.
Oh, right, like leaving scent markings. I remember seeing something about that in the video.
Exactly. Raccoons, like many other mammals, use scent marking to establish their territory and communicate with other raccoons. They use urine, feces, and secretions from their anal glands to leave these messages.
It's not just about finding a tasty snack.
Yeah.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. It's about, marking their turf and saying, hey, this is my space.
It's mine.
Yeah, it's all part of their complex social structure.
That's fascinating. And speaking of communication, remember those over 50 different vocalizations they have?
Oh, I know. It's incredible.
Hissing, purring, growling, chirping, squealing. Who knew raccoons were such a chatty bunch?
I know. It's like they have their own secret language going on.
I know. It really is.
Each sound carries a specific meaning, whether it's warning others of danger, competing for food, or
Yeah.
communicating with their young.
I'd love to know what they're saying to each other.
I know. It makes you wonder.
It's like eavesdropping on a conversation, but you have no idea what's being said.
Right. It's fascinating to think about all the information they're conveying through those sounds. And it highlights how much we still don't know about their social interactions
Yeah.
and communication.
Well, one thing we do know is that they're incredibly adaptable. I mean, they've managed to thrive alongside humans in a way that most other wildlife can't.
I know. It's really quite amazing.
It's almost like they've figured out how to use us
Yeah.
to their advantage.
You could say that. They've become masters of urban survival, exploiting our food sources, our shelter, and even our waste disposal habits. They're opportunistic and intelligent, which makes them incredibly successful in human-modified environments.
It's impressive, but also a little bit unnerving.
Yeah.
It's like we've unintentionally created the perfect environment for them to thrive, even if it causes us some headaches.
It's a complicated relationship, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that while we might admire their adaptability, we also need to be mindful of the potential for conflict when our worlds collide.
Right. Like the health risks we talked about earlier. They're not just cute and cuddly. They can carry diseases that are harmful to humans and pets.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance.
Gosh.
Appreciating their unique qualities
Yeah.
while also understanding that they are wild animals with their own needs and instincts.
And sometimes those instincts lead them right to our trash cans,
Yeah, that's right. It happens.
our attics, or even our gardens. It's all part of the raccoon experience.
It is. It's a reminder that we share this planet with a diverse array of creatures, each with his own way of life, and sometimes those ways of life intersect with our own, creating both challenges and opportunities for learning and understanding.
Well said. So, as we wrap up part 2 of our raccoon exploration, what key takeaway do you want to leave our listeners with?
I think it's crucial to remember that raccoons are complex creatures. They're intelligent, resourceful, adaptable, and yes, sometimes mischievous. But they're also an integral part of our ecosystem. And understanding them better can help us coexist more peacefully and
Yeah.
responsibly.
Couldn't agree more. It's been an eye-opening journey so far, and I'm excited to continue our exploration in part 3, where we'll tackle some of the myths and misconceptions surrounding these masked bandits.
That's right. We'll separate fact from fiction and uncover even more fascinating insights into the world of raccoons.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to our Raccoon Deep Dive. It's amazing how a creature we often see as a nuisance can be so incredibly fascinating.
I know, right? They really
So
are.
if we take the time to really learn about them, we've uncovered so much already, from their remarkable intelligence and dexterity to their surprising hygiene habits and complex communication.
But, like with any creature we think we know, there are always myths
Right.
and misconceptions
Yeah.
lurking around.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's easy to fall back on those commonly held
Yeah.
beliefs, especially when it comes to animals we encounter frequently. But often, the truth is far more interesting than the myth.
Exactly. So, let's bust some of those raccoon myths wide open.
Let's do it.
One that always comes up is the whole rabid raccoon thing.
Oh, yeah.
The idea that if you see a raccoon out during the day, it must be sick. Video mentions this too, and
Yeah.
I've definitely heard people say it.
Yeah, that's a classic misconception. While raccoons are generally nocturnal, meaning they're most active at night, seeing one during the day doesn't automatically mean it's rabid.
Yeah, there could be some other reasons. They'd be out and about during the day. Well, think about it. A mother raccoon might be searching for food for her kits, especially if resources are scarce at night. Or maybe they've found a particularly good food source that's only available during the day.
No.
They're opportunistic, so they'll take advantage of those situations.
That makes sense. So
Yeah.
it's more about them being adaptable and resourceful,
Yeah.
rather than a sign of illness.
Exactly.
The video does emphasize that if a raccoon is acting strangely, like
Yeah.
being overly aggressive
Right.
or disoriented, it's best to avoid it
Right. It's better to be safe than sorry.
and report it to animal control.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any animal exhibiting unusual behavior could be sick or injured, and it's best to err on the side of caution. But just
Yeah.
seeing a raccoon out during daylight hours isn't necessarily a cause for alarm.
Good to know. We're putting that myth to rest.
Yeah.
Another one that comes up is the idea that raccoons are inherently aggressive or dangerous.
Yeah, I've heard that one too. And while they can be protective, especially when defending their young or their food, they're generally not aggressive towards humans unless provoked.
So, if we give them their space, we should be okay.
For the most part, yes. Remember, they are wild animals, so it's always best to observe them from a distance and avoid approaching them, and definitely don't try to feed them.
Right. We don't want to encourage them to come too close or make them dependent on humans for food.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance, appreciating their presence in our world, while also respecting their wild nature
Yeah.
and giving them the space they need.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of raccoons, what's the one thing you want to leave our listeners with?
I think the biggest takeaway here is that there's always more to learn, even about creatures we think we know well. Raccoons are a perfect example. They're complex, intelligent, adaptable, and they play a vital role in our ecosystem.
They've certainly challenged our assumptions
Yeah.
and given us a new appreciation for their unique abilities and behaviors. Who knew those masked bandits had so much going on beneath the surface?
And hopefully, this newfound knowledge will lead to more informed and respectful interactions between humans and raccoons in the future.
Couldn't agree more. It's been a wild ride, full of surprising discoveries and myth-busting adventures. So the next time you see a raccoon, take a moment to appreciate the intelligence and adaptability behind those masked eyes. There's a whole lot more to these creatures than meets the eye. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you on the next one.